DOJ is holding a press conference. We're hearing from Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche for the first time. He, of course, took over for Pam Bondi. He's talking about the Trump administration's efforts to combat fraud, and he may talk about Minnesota here as well. Let's listen in for just a moment.
Dollars in healthcare and COVID fraud. If you think about that, just since yesterday, we had a guilty plea in a $160 million healthcare enrollment fraud scheme and a sentencing in a $100 million COVID-19 fraud, and a guilty plea in a $160 million healthcare fraud scheme as well. Each of these cases represents countless hours of dedication from the prosecutors and the federal agents and local law enforcement who work them. The Department of Justice is holding criminals accountable for stealing over $500 million from taxpayers. And across our U.S. Attorney's offices all over this country, we currently have over 8,000 fraud matters underway. Unfortunately, as you've heard a lot about recently, because it's true, these cases represent a fraction of the fraud ripping off our country every day. Thanks to the leadership of President Trump, this department, working closely with the task force to eliminate fraud, is supercharging efforts to take down every fraudster and bring them to justice. I want to thank the Vice President and Anti-Fraud Task Force Chair Andrew Ferguson for their focus on this issue and for empowering this department to go after criminals who steal from the government like never before. Our goal is to prevent this from ever happening again. Because of this administration's leadership, fraudsters, scammers, tax cheats, or anyone who lies to get rich off the generosity of the American people should be on notice. Now, this isn't new for this department. We have a storied history of combating fraud and bringing criminal actors to justice. But the department has never adopted a comprehensive and coordinated approach to investigating and prosecuting fraud against taxpayer dollars and taxpayer-funded programs. With over $1 trillion at stake every single year, threatened by increasingly sophisticated and opportunistic fraudsters, the time for this comprehensive and coordinated approach is now. And so today, I'm proud to announce in greater detail the creation of the National Fraud Enforcement Division. Its core mission will be to zealously investigate and prosecute those who steal taxpayer dollars and rip off the American people. Our vision is to build a robust fraud-fighting squad capable of investigating and prosecuting the full spectrum of fraud against taxpayer dollars. We are going to staff this division by some of the department's best prosecutors, bringing together experts in healthcare fraud, tax fraud, benefits fraud, and corporate fraud under one roof with one mission: to protect the American people from the fight against fraud. This means in pure numbers that there will be an additional 93 prosecutors in every district across the country devoted to the mission of combating fraud with the National Fraud Enforcement Division. To the attorneys and staff who join this new division, you will have the entire department's support as you work to protect the financial integrity of our entire government and the tax system that supports it. We will spare no resources in giving you the tools that you need to bring strong cases and do justice. The new division will bring together data and investigators from across the entire government so that you can track down even the most sophisticated fraudsters and hold them accountable. For example, today I am directing the department to establish the National Fraud Detention Center. This Fraud Detention Center will be a permanent, prosecutor-led, multi-agency data analytics team working to ferret out the most harmful actors defrauding federal government programs. So to the fraudsters who seek to take advantage of our nation, let this be a warning. The department will investigate you, we will charge you with crimes, and we will ensure that you are punished for your actions. The American people deserve an end to the crisis of fraud, and there is no better prosecutor to lead this mission than newly appointed Assistant Attorney General Colin McDonald, who's standing to my left. In the words of President Trump, he is very smart, tough, and highly respected. Colin is a veteran prosecutor who has spent his entire career as an assistant United States attorney in the Southern District of California. During his time in the Office of the Deputy Attorney General, he championed public safety and law enforcement, and I am confident that the National Fraud Enforcement Division and the entire department will benefit from his experience and his total commitment to justice. I expect there will be more to come in the next days and weeks from Colin and the Anti-Fraud Task Force, but I wanted to tell the American people today what this department is doing to comprehensively attack the fraud crisis in this country. Thank you. I'll take a few questions.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Attorney General. President Trump has made no secret of the fact that he wants to see his perceived political enemies prosecuted. So now that you're in this position, how are you going to balance that relentless pressure with this administration's promise to end the weaponization of this department?
Well, look, first of all, we have thousands of ongoing investigations and prosecutions going on in this country right now. And it is true that some of them involve men, women, and entities that the president in the past has had issues with and that believe should be investigated. That is his right, and indeed it is his duty to do that, meaning to lead this country. And so I do not view this as pressure. I do not view this as something that is going to keep me up at night, except to make sure that we are investigating every case that we have to the fullest extent of the law and using all the resources we can. And when you talk about weaponization, and it's become a word that is supposedly that when we talk about ending weaponization, as if that's a bad thing for us to do. Okay, people in this room for 4 years, some of you, the same people, sat here with the last administration when you saw a weaponization of this department, the likes of which had never been seen in history. And some of you are looking down now. And I get it, because you had a president who was indicted 4 times by this department. You had a president who along with this department, had assistance. So this department helped 2 other local DAs go after the president. You had this department who stood idly by while states tried to keep President Trump off the ballot. Okay, that's what happened the past 4 years. And so when I'm asked questions or when I see reporting about shock and awe at this supposed weaponization of this Department of Justice, it means nothing to me, because it's completely false. What we're doing and what we've been doing for the past 14 months is changing this department. We're no longer, people say the president wants to go after his political enemies. No, the president has said time and time again that he wants justice. And if you look at what happened to him, his family, his administration, the agents that protected him, people that happened to just walk by him on a given day, they got subjected to massive investigations by this department. So I understand the question, and I understand the pretty constant role of the media that somehow this department is weaponizing itself, but it happens not to be true. We have tens of thousands of prosecutors all over this country putting bad guys in jail, okay? That's something that wasn't happening like it should have been happening for the past 4 years. That's going to happen tomorrow, and it's going to happen in the coming days.
Do you believe Pam Bondi lost her job, though, because she was not successful in that pursuit?
You read the same exact communication from the president that I did. Pam Bondi is a trusted friend of President Trump's, will remain so. And no, nobody has any idea why the Attorney General is no longer the Attorney General and I'm the Acting Attorney General, except for President Trump.
2 questions. One, kind of housekeeping. Since you are announced as the Acting Attorney General today, when is Pam Bondi's last day on the job? And is this a position that you would like full-time?
So there's a bunch of questions there. So I am the Acting Attorney General. As far as Pam Bondi's last day on the job, I'm the Acting Attorney General. I'm going with her. We're traveling together tomorrow to a pre-scheduled event. So she'll be with me tomorrow. We've been regularly communicating over the past several days for an appropriate transition. She is very much a big supporter of this department, like she was last Thursday morning. She remains remains the same, and I expect that will continue. As to whether or not I want this job, I did not ask for this job. I love working for President Trump. It's the greatest honor of a lifetime, and if President Trump chooses to keep me as acting, that's an honor. If he chooses to nominate me, that's an honor. If he chooses to nominate somebody else and I go back to being the DAG, that's an honor. If he chooses to nominate somebody else and asks me to go do something else, I will say thank you very much. I love you, sir. So I don't have any goals or aspirations beyond that.
All right, we are listening to Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, hearing from him for the first time.